Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. So for today's tutorial, as you can see, I've gone ahead to mark out my horizontal line, but I'm going to explain to you how I did that. So as you can see, this is my shoulder line, this is my upper bust line, this is my bust line, and this is my under bust line, and then this is the half length. From my shoulder to my upper bust, that's where I'll have my armhole curve. It's 7¼ Then from my shoulder to my bust point is 10". Then from my shoulder to under bust is 13½. Then from my shoulder to the half length is 15. But I marked 15½. I added ½ seam allowance that I will use to join the upper part to the down part. So that's that. So what I'm going to do next is to take my shoulder slope. So to take my shoulder slope, I'm going to mark the 3" standard, which is this. Then the shoulder I'm using is 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. 6.5. So 6.5 plus half, that's for the seam allowance. That's what I'll use to join the shoulder to the sleeve. So it's 7. So I'm going to mark 7. So I'll come down by 1. That's to get my shoulder slope. I came down by 1 for the shoulder slope, and I'm going to use the ruler to draw a straight line. So the next thing is, I'm also going to, what I have here at 7, I'm going to also mark 7 here, just to have a straight line. So for my front armhole, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark here it's 6¼ So 6¼ divide, I will then go ahead and divide it by 2, which is here. Then I'll come in by 3/4. That's for the front armhole here. Then the bust I'm using is 35. 35 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.75. 8.75. That's 8¾ which is going to give me, which is here. Okay, I'm going to add a 1/4 inch to it. That's for ease allowance. So it's going to give me 9. So I'm marking 9. The extra 1/4 I added is just for ease allowance. That one is actually optional. So I'll just go ahead and mark my seam allowance immediately, which is 2. 9, 2. That's extra 2" for the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do next is to use the ruler to connect this. So this is where our bust measurement stops. So this is the 2" for the seam allowance. Take note. So the neckline I'll be using is, I'm going to use a neckline. The depth I'm going to be using is 4, a depth of 4. So this is already 3. I'll just add 1 here, 1, which is a total of 4. Then the depth I'll be using is 4½. Or let me just make it 4. Let me make it 4½. Still okay. Let me make it 4½. So you see. So what I'm going to do next is the nipple to nipple. That's bust point to bust point. It's 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3½, which is this 3½. But I'm going to add ½ inch for seam allowance, which is a total of 4. So I'm going to mark 4, and I'm also going to mark it down. That's on the half length, 4. Take note that this is not a princess dart bustier. It's just a normal simple princess dart. Is a princess dart, not a princess dart bustier. So that's that. Then this on my bust point, I'm going to come down by 1. I'm going to come down by 1. Then I'm going to rule a straight line. Then for the armhole, I'm going to take you can decide to just come down by 3. You can decide to use the midpoint. For mine, I'm going to use the midpoint. So this is like, okay, let's say this is 8. I'm going to mark the midpoint will be 4. So I'll just mark 4. Then I'll just go ahead and connect. You can see it. I'll just go ahead and connect. So just in case, to avoid having a shortage, you can just decide to add just half, just a little bit, not much. You know, this is not a princess dart bustier. You can if it was a princess dart bustier, whatever you cut out from here, you are going to add it, but it's just a normal princess dart. So I'll just add a little. Then just in case I have a shortage, it's always good for you to be on the safer side. So this is our new armhole. So the next is to take the measurements. For the waist I'm using it 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 7 plus, okay, this is 7, and then 2-inch seam allowance. 2-inch seam allowance is here. So I'll go ahead and connect. So you can see we are done with the front panel. Remember I said that this is not a princess dart bustier. If it was a princess dart bustier, I would just go ahead and take, you know, maybe I can decide to take 1 here, 2 here, you know, and so on and so forth. But this is just a normal simple princess dart. So before I go ahead to cut, I'm going to add 1/2 inch here, just 1/2 inch, just for the seam allowance, what I'll use to join the front panel to the back panel. Take note. So as you can see, I'll go ahead and cut. So this is for the front panel. So this is for the back panel. For the back panel, as you can see, I'm going ahead to draw my horizontal line. So, but I'm going to explain. Here is for the zip allowance. For the zip allowance, this is for the shoulder shoulder line. This is for the upper bust line, and then this is for the waistline. That's the half length. So that's that. So like I did for the front, I'm going to take my shoulder slope. Take note that if I'm taking the measurements, I'm not starting from here. I don't start here. I start from this line. So the shoulder I'm using is 13. I need to divide by 2. It's 6.5. 6.5 plus 1/2 inch. That's for the seam allowance is 7. I'm going to mark 3 to draw my shoulder slope. I'll come down by 1. connect it to here. Mark 7, that's what I have here, just to have a straight line. So the post I'm using is 35. 35 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.75. 8.75. Then I'm going to add a quarter inch for ease allowance, which is here. Then 2 inch for seam allowance, which is here. I'm going to draw the armhole. For the armhole, I can just, just curve it a bit. You can use your free hand to do that. You can use your free hand to do that. So that's that. So the next I'm going to do, okay, the neckline, like for the front panel, what we have was 4. Remember, here is 3, and then we'll mark 1 here. And then the depth of the neckline I'm going to use, let's say I'm going to use let me use 2, or let me use 3. I'm using 3. That's for the back neckline. So the next thing to do is to just connect. I can try to use my free hand to just, connect it. So that's that. So what I'm going to do next is to the nipple to nipple, that's bust point to bust point is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So 3.5 plus half inch for seam allowance is 4. So I'm going to mark 4 here. I'm going to mark 4 here. And I'm going to mark 4 here. Then I'll look for the midpoint. There is 7.5. So 3/4, which is this, is the midpoint. So I'll just use my hand to connect. Then I'll take the waist measurement. The waist I'm using is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. This is 7. And then 2 inch seam allowance. And then I'll go ahead and connect. But before I go ahead and cut, don't forget to add your half inch. Then here you can actually decide to add just a little, just in case, you can see what I did, just a little, for you not to have a shortage of fabric when you join these two together, just to be on the safer side. But most time I go ahead and cut it like that, and it's also, and when I join them I don't notice any shortage. That's for the back. because I didn't come in here. So that's that. So before I cut this, I want to explain something. You see, sometimes when you, after fixing your zip, you will notice some folds around the zip area. So to avoid that, you can decide to take a 1/4 inch here down, here, just a 1/4 inch. Then you use your ruler to connect it either to this point or to this point, whichever. Or you can just use your ruler and your scissors to cut it out. You just cut it out. So after fixing your zip, you won't see that, you know, fold, extra fold around the zip area. So that is that. Take note that even when sewing for the zip, when sewing the zip, I'll still go ahead and take my 1.5 inch. I'll still go ahead and take my 1.5 inch. So that is that.